Today on TLC Live, epidemic of sex and human trafficking. Sounds of Freedom, an independent movie based on a true story of human trafficking. And Jaco Booyens, founder of Jaco Booyens Ministries. Jaco Booyens, a native of South Africa and American citizens. Jaco is also an international, well-recognized ableist and speaker of human trafficking, Christian faith, and motivation. Jacob is a diversity entrepreneur and involved in several entities and industries that transform culture for good. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to TLC Live. I'm Andrea Gomez.
And I'm Orlando Sanchez. Good of you to join us. Andrea's produced another interesting show, as we all know. Houston, Texas is probably the national capital in the United States of human and sex trafficking. So it's an important topic that we'll be discussing today with Jacob.
Exactly. So recently, July 4, Independence Day, this movie was released, Sounds of Freedom. And the movie is based on a true story about the human trafficking and the real epidemic that we're living in this country and around the world. And now with the situation in the border, with the border crisis, it's getting worse and worse. So many people is been fighting against this, and now it's a bill that is put in 13 different states to fight this problem. So let me ask our producer if we can play the trailer of the movie. Not yet? Okay. Well, we will play the trailer of the movie later on the show. So for now, let's introduce our guest. He is Jaco Booyens, and he is the founder of Jaco Booyens Ministries, and he has a personal story with the human and sexual trafficking, and that's why he started everything that he started fighting this very world problem that we have in this country. So Jacob, welcome to TLC, and thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Appreciate you.
So Jacob, tell us a little bit of your background and your story. I was reading your biography, and apparently your sister or younger sister was a victim of sexual trafficking.
Yeah, in 1994, that's 28 years ago, my sister was trafficked. She was 12 years old, and at that time, nobody was talking about child sex trafficking. So we've been fighting child sex trafficking for the last 28 years. You know, guys like Tim Ballard are friends of Sound of Freedom, and there's amazing other organizations that fight this. But we've been fighting this for 28 years in 53 countries around the world. And since 2013, we have focused on the United States because we are the #1 nation on earth paying for sex with children. And the demand is very high. That's why you're seeing cartel and networks move children into the country. But I want to make it clear that American children are being sold for sex every day. We did 3 rescues in the last week. Every single day, American children are sexually exploited. And this is not a QAnon conspiracy. Sound of Freedom is bringing incredible awareness to this. But now the American public need to do something. You can watch a movie, and then you need to connect and do something about it. So for us, it's personal. It took us 6 years to get my sister back. And then it took 18 years of therapy, rebuilding a life. That's one life. You know, and we've got a motto saying one is too many. So this is a massive problem in our culture.
Jacob, I have a question. What can the United States do, since you point out that it is a huge consumer of sex with children, both internationally and domestically? What can we do to curtail sex trafficking in the United States?
What a question. And that's what needs to happen right now. And I want people to connect with our organization because we arm them with the tools to go fight this in their local community. First, it's local. Understand that it's local. It's in every zip code. And yes, Houston is #1 city in the world, the Woodlands area. Here's what we can do as a nation, though, from a national level. Let's open back up the office to combat sex trafficking in the White House that was closed. Let's actually prosecute the laws that's on the books. Do you know that in Texas, for instance, in the 254 counties, we only prosecute child sex crimes in 10 counties? the district attorneys do not take these cases into the court of law. They plead them down to a misdemeanor. Secondly, it's time for the U.S. Senate and Congress to repeal Section 230. What is Section 230? Section 230 gives protection to Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, so that child pornography can live on those websites. We need to repeal Section 230, remove the cover that they have, that they fly under, and make them liable for class action suits, make them liable for the public to come after them, because these platforms have become the pimp. You don't need a pimp anymore today. The role of a pimp is a facilitator. It's find a traffic victim, find a buyer, and connect them. You don't need a pimp today anymore. The buyers are talking to 10, 12, 13-year-old children directly on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and there's no liability. There's millions of child porn images on these platforms, and they don't have to remove them. Mark Zuckerberg pled the fifth 50 times in front of Congress when he was asked, well, what about the algorithms? Why can't you stop child pornography? We need to repeal Section 230 immediately.
Jacob,
Well, let me just real quick though. Let me ask. When I post occasionally on Facebook, and I do less and less every day because I don't know, Jaco. Lately, I've been seeing a lot of Chinese operations commenting on my post. Say, "You've appeared on my post 3 times," and it's always a picture of what appears to be an underage Asian, probably Chinese woman. And of course, I'm assuming these people are fishing for potential Johns or customers for some kind of sex trafficking operation. So I'm really getting fed up with Facebook and their inability to control this disastrous situation that's going on. But they have what they call community standards. Once in a while, if I use certain words like conservative, GOP, Trump, they drive my post down. And occasionally, I remember one time, because I'm from Cuba, I was posting about the dangers of communism and socialism. I posted a photograph that's widely available on the internet of Che Guevara, who was assassinated. As you know, he was single-handedly responsible for murdering thousands of young Cuban boys. And they said it violated the community standards and took it off and put me in the penalty box. So why doesn't Zuckerberg and Facebook put all these people or entities that are putting these exploitive photographs and links into, Facebook jail and claim that violates the community standards?
What an incredible logical solution, right? That's what you would think. Senator Marsha Blackburn asked Mark Zuckerberg that question when she was Congresswoman Blackburn on the Congress floor. And Mark said, you don't understand, it's an algorithm. A person wrote the algorithm to silence conservative truth speech, but you can't write the algorithm to silence pedophiles. No, you don't want to. Here's why Mark Zuckerberg cannot do this. Same with Jeff Bezos. Same with, honestly, is this a big problem Elon Musk is facing at the moment? They answer to other authorities. They're in bed with the Fed. The FBI uses Facebook as basically an extension, as a media arm. They're basically a PR agency. They have sworn an allegiance, have taken bailout money, have elevated to success through gain of access through government. They can't return that. If Mark Zuckerberg tomorrow was to do what you propose, hellfire would rain on him and Facebook and the board of directors and the shareholders, because they have sold out the American people. Look at what Zuckerberg did in the election. They've sold out the American people. Like our president sold out the American people when he opened the border. We go to the border. We are basically become experts on the border. We work both sides of the border. We have a value. We believe that the American president sold out the American citizen for 33 cents by opening the border. We will not know the damage that has been done to human life for the next 2 decades through that border as it pertains to national security or child trafficking. Zuckerberg cannot do it. He would have to become a man of moral conviction and moral character, and he doesn't have it. It's not existent in his
Well,
life.
let me just say a couple of things. One, you brought up an issue that I thought I was questioning whether I should share it with you, which is the border. We have to admit that the border is a major source of human and sex trafficking. But here's my
Yep.
question to you, because this is what I've claimed publicly. The U.S. government is a co-conspirator in the importation of cheap labor. A collateral damage of the importation of cheap labor is sex trafficking, fentanyl, drug trafficking, and human trafficking. And this administration has said, well, we'll just accept the collateral damage because we need the cheap labor in this country. Do you agree or disagree? And also, let me also make a comment that this morning, Christopher Wray was testifying about the use of the FBI and weaponizing the FBI before Congress today. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, 100%. We're tracking it. Look, I've testified so much in front of legislature and Congress. You're 1,000% correct. Let me say there's massive collateral damage. To a degree, a lot of them participate in pedophilia at a federal level. But look, this is pedophilia and sex trafficking is not a conservative or a liberal thing. It's not a Christian or an atheist thing. It doesn't care. Evil doesn't care. It comes to steal, kill, destroy. But we've opened a lane because of cheap labor. And here's what's happening. Are you aware that the President of the United States, while we're clamoring around all the other shiny objects, signed a trilateral agreement 2 months ago? The President of the United States, Fox doesn't want to report on this, he signed a trilateral agreement with Spain, Mexico, and the U.S. to where the U.S. signed documents to say we will take 7 million migrants before the end of this presidency. Go look at what's happening in Spain. Spain said they would take 3 million migrants. Boats are landing on the beaches of Spain as you and I speak. 200,000 crossed this weekend. Spain, Mexico, and the U.S. is taking on migrants from around the world. This is just starting. The collateral damage is 300 Americans die per day from fentanyl overdose. The cartel said, thank you very much. You're opening the border. The cartel's not going to play by the rules and say, we're only going to send you a labor force. No, we're going to send you the deplorables. I was in the streets of Piedras Negras very recently, and I'm standing out in a bulletproof vest. We're going into a red light district to find children, okay? And I'm told, Jaco, what's wrong with Piedras Negras? And I go, a lot. They said, but why is the street so clean? And I said, there's no homeless. And I'm told, no, we ship all our homeless, all our convicts, all our deplorables into the United States. The cartel is moving criminal element, drugs, and people. The cartel's going to make money on selling sex. The U.S. government is displacing the American citizen's job for cheap labor. You are 100% correct. The U.S. government is the largest human trafficking organization on planet Earth. Now, human trafficking is labor, debt, and sex.
Yeah,
Jaco,
and I will say too, well, hang on just real quick because I'm going to have to jump off. Speaking of that, I have to do an interview,
oh
live
yeah.
interview, Andrea, in just a few minutes. But you're absolutely correct. And just to point out, there have been several legislators, elected officials under investigation. Not the most recent is U.S. Senator Menendez, who allegedly traveled to the Dominican Republic, and it was alleged that he was having some sort of physical encounter with a person that is of underage. It is my understanding, Jaco, that sex with underage children has no statute of limitations. So there is the ability to pursue them criminally. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that's why it's all connected. That's why I'm so thankful for this deep conversation, right? Beyond just awareness. That's why you'll see now we have 13 states and soon to be 20 states at state level, state government, that are lowering their age of consent because they want to get around the statute of limitations conversation, and they want to get around statutory rape. Remember, sex trafficking law in all 50 states says this: if the child is 17 or under, we don't have to prove force, fraud, or coercion. The child's a victim. They're doing a workaround by rewriting state laws to get around this very subject.
All right. Well, look, I'll let Andrea carry on the conversation. Thank you for joining us and enlightening us, and keep up the good work. And we'll have you back to give us an update on your progress.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Orlando. See you soon.
All right.
Jaco, I wanted you to talk about your organization because I hear and feel your frustration. And I was reading, you started your organization 22, 23 years ago. And I feel that everything that you started back then when the social media didn't exist, and now with the social media, is like going backwards. It's like we're going backwards not only with the social media, but now with the open borders. So tell us about that when you started, and now what is the challenges that you're facing?
Andrea, when we started, and you're so right, 100%. Think back, let's talk about Mexico City, because we're speaking to an Hispanic audience. If we go in Mexico City, those 10 city blocks are dangerous. More than that. It used to be like that. We used to fight sex trafficking when we'd say, in Dallas, Texas, you've got to go to Oak Lawn, and that area is where people would traffic children before social media. Today, it's everywhere. Today, do you know that the fastest growing form of sex trafficking of children in America is what's called familial trafficking? The families are selling their own children. They're selling children to the cartel in Guatemala, Honduras, Cuba to come to the US. They're selling children in the United States. The social media has made that possible. Social media doesn't have city limits or boundaries. So predators, we did a study over the last 2 years, 65% of American teenagers, okay, have already spoken to a predator, a pedophile, on social media. They don't know that they have, but they're there. They're testing the child. They're seeing if the child is potentially vulnerable. Remember, sex trafficking is an exploitation of vulnerability, needs, wants. So it's just about finding the child's vulnerability, and then you can exploit them. Well, social media has exploded sex trafficking. At numbers, we have gone backwards. To your point, we're so far backwards now. It's worse today than it was ever before in history, because we can't control it. It's not in a particular area. It's not a particular time of day. It's while the child is sitting in the classroom. They can be talking to a pedophile and arrange a meeting. This is why I'm saying the federal government has a role to play here to remove Section 230 as a protection. Your organization, you don't have Section 230 protection because you're a publisher, right? Fox News doesn't have the protection because they're a publisher. When Section 230 was written, it was really written because of Facebook. No one knew social media. Facebook came out. They didn't know how to control it. Facebook said, we're not going to censor. We're not going to shape the conversation. We're not going to moderate the conversation. And we're not going to publish. We're just a platform, freedom of speech, where people can say whatever they want. Congress wrote Section 230 to say, okay, in that case, Facebook cannot be held responsible if Susie does something on their platform. But they still have that protection today. But Facebook is safe harboring and protecting pedophiles. They are refusing to remove child pornography from their website. So is Instagram, so is Twitter, so is TikTok, so is Pinterest. So they have protection while children are being raped and sold on their platform. They should lose that protection.
And on top of everything, the media is promoting this.
Yes.
The shows that we're seeing these days. I mean, it's a shame watching any movie or watching any series or watching any show on TV. It's promoting this.
100% boldly. And not in if you think of when we were fighting against the movie cuties on Netflix, right? Well, today that seems tame. Today they're promoting full-blown sexual content in films. Age, a PG-13 movie today has sex in it, has sexual innuendo, has nudity in it. I mean, the sexual concepts. If you listen to music today, I was just told this morning about a song where they're talking in a song, in a rap song, singing it in a pop song about eating children, consuming human beings. And then you have things like Pride Month, where men are naked in the streets in front of children. And this is where conservative media, I say this, talk about it, don't show it. Don't show it, because you're giving it more exposure. Don't play the clip of the men in Seattle riding naked on their bicycles in front of children, or the drag queens dancing in front of children. Talk about it, but don't give it more exposure. Media has completely lost its way. It is conservative media like you. And let's talk about the Latin community just for a minute. The Latin community. We fight pedophiles every single day. We actually talk to pedophiles. We actually talk to victims and survivors. We don't just talk about this on social media. We're in the mud, in the fight. Let me tell you what the predators and the pedophiles are saying. They're targeting Latin American children because they call them ghost children. Do you know why they call them ghost children? They know that children are coming across the border without family. No one is going to look for that child. The U.S. government has lost over 240,000 children. They say 85,000. It's a lie. They've lost 240,000 children. The cartel has not lost those children. They know where they are. Mm-hmm. There's a debt to pay, right? And so the Latin community, I want the Latin community to go back to their roots. The Latin community is a community of family. It's typically Catholic, but it's family-centric. I mean, the Latinos are tight as family, but they've been lied to, Andrea. They've been lied to by U.S. NGOs. They've been lied to by the U.S. president, saying you can come to America. You're going to have the American dream. You can have a home. You can have a job. It's a lie. They're going to be exploited.
It's not such American dream anymore. It's a nightmare. I was reading that you were an advisor during a Trump administration. I wanted you to tell me what it was being done during those 4 years that in less than a year is being destroyed when the new administration took over.
Yeah, it was a great honor to be a consultant into that commission to fight human trafficking with President Trump. His daughter, Ivanka Trump, is the one that spoke to her father's ear, got his attention. And that president was the first president in U.S. history to acknowledge child sex trafficking. Then he went further and he signed an executive order. I have the pen he signed it with. I was there 5 feet from him. It was an incredible moment because this is what happened. He said in all 50 states, the sexual exploitation of children is illegal. He brought funding. He opened an office in the White House. He had an incredible staff. He connected all the law enforcement agencies. He mandated them to talk to one another, to share information, to rescue children and arrest the pedophiles. We saw more arrests, more rescues than ever before in history, ever. Of course, he worked to close the border, which means he silenced sex trafficking across the border. All of that disappeared in a moment when this president, Joe Biden, took office at the White House. It changed immediately. Not only that, George Soros, partnering with this administration, infiltrated the district attorneys of the country. The district attorneys, even when we have a rescue, Andrea, they don't take that case to court, which means the following. When the case goes to court, 100% of the time, the jury throws the full law. They give 30, 40-year sentences. but it doesn't go to court. They plead the case down to say the trafficker had marijuana. It's a marijuana charge. He had kidnapping. It's a kidnapping charge. But they don't take that case to court because they get the instruction from the Biden administration, the district attorneys, funded by players like George Soros, and partners like the current Mexican president. The current Mexican president also facilitates human trafficking. He opens his southern border. He opens his north. He's not helping. He's allowing children from Guatemala, Honduras, Cuba, all Africa to come through his country, through the Darien Gap, through Mexico, while they're being raped and sold. He's doing nothing.
Definitely is I mean, it's like we're going backwards. I don't know what it will be a solution for this, because it's like it's getting out of control completely. I wanted you to talk about a film that recently was released at the Sound of Freedom, that you were telling me that you were very involved for the last 4 years in that project. But also I was reading on your biography that you also was participating and created were very involved in another film years ago. So I wanted you to tell me about those two projects.
Yeah, actually, there's 3 films I want to discuss. The first film was 8 Days. We made that movie in 2013, and you said we went backwards. Let me prove to you how we went backwards. In 2013, we made a movie called 8 Days. It's on Amazon Prime. I want people to go watch it. That movie shows real cases of sex trafficking in America, rescues in America, like Sound of Freedom. 2013, 10 years ago. Sound of Freedom, I wasn't involved in producing the film. I was a consultant early on in that film. Tim Ballard is a great friend. It's a great movie. People need to watch it. It brings awareness. But I don't want people to think it's happening in other countries only. It's happening in the US. We've got to take this momentum from Sound of Freedom. We released a movie 2 months ago, but we did it quietly. We released a film called Sex Nation. Sex Nation is a documentary. It has 45 interviews on the border, on sex trafficking in the US, law enforcement, nurses, survivors. I want people to watch Sound of Freedom. I want people to watch 8 Days on Amazon Prime. And I want people to watch our film, Sex Nation. Here's the difference. 8 Days shows you it's in America. A real rescues in America. Sound of Freedom, brilliant movie. Well done. Jim Caviezel, Tim Ballard, Eduardo Verastecki. Amazing job. It shows you that rescue and that it is an international thing coming to America. Sex Nation, our documentary, shows you what to do in America to stop it. It shows you how to protect your children, how to protect your family. It shows you how to fight against the corruption in government. It actually gives people the next thing to do. So you got to look at Sound of Freedom and Sex Nation as brothers, these two films. One brings massive awareness. The other one says, okay, now what? What do we do? And they can go to sexnationfilm.com. And here's the beautiful thing. The film is also in Spanish, the whole movie. It's both in English and Spanish.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't hear about that movie before. So you're saying that it was launched very quiet. Why was that?
Well, because you look at the attack Sound of Freedom is getting now as conspiracy, as this and that. Sex Nation was released without any marketing because it's for the long run. It's not a movie that's just quick, and we will start pushing marketing now. We'll start getting it out there, because it gives people actual things they can go do. They can go to their city council tomorrow and say, whoa, this is not right. School board, this is allowing sex trafficking. Facebook, it gives them tangible things. And ultimately also, Sex Nation is the only movie ever about sex trafficking that talks about our need to reconnect this country to God. Our need to walk a moral lifestyle. Our need to walk away from pornography. Our need to get men healing from pornography. It's a very important movie. So please watch Sound of Freedom. Please. But please go watch Sex Nation because it's going to show you what to do in your home.
And Jacob, you said something very important that we're being talking a lot here in TLC and in personal life, that we as a conservative we've been talking. We've been losing our values, and we need to go to basic. We need to go to look at our families. We need to go to talk to our children. We need to keep keeping the faith in our family. So when did you start seeing this disconnection and the society changing for what we're seeing today, and I don't see that it's going to be different in the future, and that's worrying me that I'm a mother of two. They're teenagers. They're 18 years old, but I've been seeing this transition. To me, I see it like in the last 10 years probably, but I wanted your feedback on that.
Yeah, number one, you don't look old enough to have an 18-year-old, so good job taking care of yourself.
Thank you.
But secondly, you're asking the right question. Do you know that nobody's talking about this around Sound of Freedom? But we need to. Sex Nation, the movie, does exactly that. We start in 1933. In the movie, we start in 1933. And we go from 1933 to 2023. And we show you where we've made decisions as culture to walk away from family, from God, from freedom. And we allowed Satan to come in, and sex being the weapon. We talk about the Humanist Manifesto in 1933, Alfred Kinsey in 1950, Hugh Hefner, Playboy, the sexual revolution in the 60s. What is marriage? Gay marriage. What is a woman? All the way through to today. And then we say, this is why this has happened. And somewhere, if you've played a part in this, if you have,
I think we lost. Okay,
no,
now
I'm here.
you're back.
That we've
Yeah,
abandoned,
it was a technical issue.
we've abandoned our values. And you must show people, here you've abandoned your values. You can't do this anymore. This is why children are sold for sex today. It's good to tell people they're being sold. Why? How did we get here? How do we not make the same mistakes? That's the purpose of Sex Nation. We've absolutely become a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. We have. It's only by the grace of God that we're still existing. But we better turn quickly, Andrea. If we don't, we will lose this nation as we know it.
Absolutely. And Jacob, I always say in this program and in my life every day, we as parents, we have a big responsibility for good and for bad. If our kids we're letting our kids being consumed by the social media, by the media in general, with the bad job that they're doing, destroying our families and destroying our values, we as a parents, we need to put a stop on that. We are the one in control of our families, and we as moms especially, we are the one that control the family, or at least in the Latino families. But I know majority of families, the mom is the center of the family. Without a mom, everybody take their own ways. So I'm always say, we as parents and we as moms, we have a big, huge responsibility to bring our kids, educate our kids, and put them in the values that it needs to be done to not allow what is going on with the noise outside. Because we're the one that tell our kids what to do and know what to do, because we are educating them. Regardless of the social media and the phones and everything, we need to put restrictions on our kids. And this thing these days is like, oh, we allow them, we cannot talk to them, we cannot tell them this. And therapists are telling them, oh, you need to talk to your kids this certain way. You know, in my time, my mom was with a chancla, with a bell, and screaming at me if I was not doing the right thing. And I was put in a timeout, and I was grounded if I was not doing the right thing. What happened to that? And I think that's why we're coming, the society that we're coming these days.
Listen, I'm telling you, you're becoming one of my favorite Latinas. I'm just telling you, you are. Look. Here's the problem. Couple things. You are not your child's friend. You're their parent. You're supposed
Exactly.
to set. You're supposed to set boundaries. You're supposed to guide and protect them from the wolves. Here's what happened in America. Okay, we got lazy as American parents. We said the school hold my values. 1960, that was true. The church hold my values. That was true 1960. It's not true today. The school is telling your child, don't tell your mom. The church, for the most part, is not preaching the gospel according to the word of God that says, hey, sexual immorality is an abomination to God. Rather, you put a millstone around your neck and throw yourself in the ocean than to harm one of these children. You cannot do it. The responsibility from God for a child is on the parent. It's a
Absolutely.
blessing. It's a
Absolutely.
blessing and a responsibility. It is the
Absolutely.
parent. So our culture has fallen because we've abandoned parenthood. We've taken our kids and we've looked at the government and say, you raise them. We trust you. We trust you with our kids. We trust you with their morality. We trust you with representing God. This is the hour where we need to take our families back. And that means the parent, you're going to be unpopular. So what? So what? You're not going to look like the community. You're not going to agree with social media. Cancel culture. You can't cancel me. Andrea, it's impossible to cancel me. I'm a son of God.
Yeah. And
I
the
will
cherry
stand
on
in front.
top, talking about lazy parents, the babysitter. The babysitter is this. You see, you go to any restaurant and you see kids a year, 1 year old, 2 years old with this and iPads, and the parents are like talking or not even talking because the families are now just on the phone all day long and on the phone on the table. I was like, from the moment that these phones start coming to our lives, so which is it makes our life easier, but at the same time it makes our life a disaster. So I always have a rule in my house with eating: you're not touching the phone. Oh, but mama, I said, I don't care. You're not touching the phone. We're going out to a restaurant. You don't touch the phone. This is our time as a family. I just ask you for 1 hour to sit and have your meal and have a normal conversation like a human being, not like a robot. But how many parents are like that?
You are spot on. Spot on. I do this when parents go, I can't believe that children can be trafficked in America. I say, okay, give me your phone, parents. Then I take the parents' phone and I go to their screen time. And I go, oh, you have 7.5 hours on Instagram this week. The parent. And
Yeah.
they go, now give me your child's phone. 11.5 hours. I go, your child's already talking to predators. Your
Yeah.
child's already a target. Okay? No question. Here's the deal. Real FaceTime, eyeball to eyeball contact. We need
Yeah.
to get back to talking about real issues in the family. You look at me. We communicate. You answer questions. How was your day? Who did you talk to? Where did you go? Give me your phone. You don't have a password as a teenager that I don't. I have access to your phone.
Of
I go
course.
through your.
Of course. It's not
Are you
such a
kidding
thing
me?
that I need my privacy. What privacy? They're underage. It's no privacy. And I need to have
No.
your password. And I need to have access to your phone full time. If not, I'm the one that pay your phone. You give it to me. You don't have, you lose your privilege.
Only privacy you have as a teenager is when you're not dressed. You can have privacy to get dressed in the shower, in the bathroom. Your room, you don't lock your door. You don't close your door.
Exactly.
I have access to everything. I tell the fathers today, when your child plays Xbox, take a controller, join him, listen to the conversation. I want your child to know that at any day you can come into the game. I want your child to tell his friends, no, I can't be in that because my dad may show up. I tell parents today, because of the danger of the cartel and the open border, I tell parents today, I want every family, I challenge you to do this, Andrea. I want every family to do a drug test at home. Every family. Why? You don't even know if your child is consuming fentanyl because maybe they're taking Adderall from
Yeah,
a friend, right? And
absolutely.
it's laced with fentanyl. And what happens if you do a random drug test in your family, and as a mother, you take the test as well? Our family is going to make sure evil does not come into our house. Here's what's going to happen. You may find out that there's drugs in your child's system. Okay, number one. Number two, if there's no drugs, your child is saying, uh-oh, whoa, the game is changing. Mama is watching. I. It is a beautiful
Yeah.
guardrail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We need to back to basic, and we need to stop, or no, not in my case, but the many cases that I see, parents are afraid to their kids. Oh, I cannot talk to him or to her about this. Oh, I cannot tell this because she's gonna get upset or he's gonna get upset. So what? So what? You
I
are the
don't care. I
authority,
don't
not
care.
them.
Exactly. I don't care. We say that phones have made our lives easier. I
Yeah.
argue it's made it infinitely worse because the amount of trauma and abuse and problems that you have to solve as a parent. This is my message for every parent of a teenager. If you want to still parent your child when they're 30, if you want them to be without a job, if you want them to be in and out of relationships, if you want them to not know their identity, if you want them to move back and live at home, if you want them to be a drain on society, then today be their friend because you're going to
Exactly.
parent them later.
Exactly. Well, Jacob, let's the call to action. I think this last 5 minutes has been the call to action. But I wanted you to give me the call to action and also tell us how we can help your organization or how people can also help your organization and help you to help.
Yeah, please help us save children, save the lives of children. When people go to our website, they can learn what to see, what to look for. It's helpjbm.org. On there, if they go to the homepage, they'll also see Sex Nation. When they click on Sex Nation, they'll have the option to, in the app, watch it in English or Spanish. Please go watch the movie. Educate yourself on the website. We have things for parents to help their children get out of pornography. How to have the parent says, I don't know how to talk to my child. We'll help you. Let's take our community back. Watch Sound of Freedom because it's a great awareness tool, but please watch Sex Nation and go on the website. There's the attack on nuclear family, media and entertainment, sex trafficking. There's so much information on that website to educate people to take their families back. Andrea, thank you so much. God bless you. I really am thankful for this interview.
Jacob, thank you so much. I want to bring you back before the end of the year because we're going to have now, it's another, we're coming up elections and next year elections also. So we want to bring you back to talk about what is going on and in the federal level and the local level, trying to addressing these issues because we need to keep talking about this and keep talking about this all the time because people
Yeah.
tends to like put it on the side. It didn't happen to me. Probably it's not going to happen to me, but we have it here and we have it around us. And any moment we can be a victim of that or our kids or somebody that we know. We need to keep talking
My
about
family,
this.
look at my family. It's in our family, right? And I want to ask you also if people can follow me on Instagram. I use my Instagram 100% to rescue and save children. 100%. So if they
So
can
what is
join
your
us on
Instagram with your
Instagram,
name?
it's at Jaco.Booyens, my name. And they'll find it. Yeah, they'll find it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jacob, for your time. And that was an amazing conversation that we need to bring you back very
Thank you.
soon. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
you. God bless you.
God bless you too.
Bye-bye.
So now we're gonna play the trailer of Sounds of Freedom, which is the movie that it was released the day of the Independence Day, July 4.
How'd that make you feel? Giving a child his freedom.
Felt good.
You have been at this for 12 years.
My country, 'tis of thee.
Why are you doing it?
Sweet land of liberty.
Because God's children are not for sale. It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen.
For Homeland Security, you know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces.
And where my fathers died.
And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
Land of the Pilgrims'
And yet somehow you have failed to bring me one real-world lead.
It's over, Tim. Close up and come back home.
So you quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
South of that river is all rebel territory. No one goes in.
What if this was your daughter?
So, she's gone.
Hear that? That's the sound of freedom.
Sound of Freedom is one of those films that can legitimately change this world. So we want to ignite a fire in audiences and open their eyes to the dark reality of millions of children that need our help. Let's make this film a historic event and the start, the end of child trafficking. Theaters across this country are already selling out. Pre-order your tickets today, and you can send the message that God's children are no longer for sale.
Well, we can all come together and help to fight this big problem. Just go to the theaters, it's already in theaters, and also you can buy the tickets on the website of the Sounds of Freedom. So thank you so much for being with us, and also please supporting us on our cause on TexasLatinoConservatives.com, TexasLatinoConservatives.com. And I want to remind you guys that in August, at the beginning of August, the first weekend of August, we're going to have Leadership Latino. So if you want to run for office, or you want to be involved in politics, or you want to just keep our conservative values, please register. It's at no cost, it's completely free. Just go to our website, TexasLatinoConservatives.com, and you're going to find all the information. Eso es todo por hoy. Nos vemos el próximo miércoles. Chao, chao. Wow.